Well, tomorrow is the big day. It's the day that John Kerry had declared a final peace agreement would be achieved between Palestinians and Israelis. It's the day that many people had looked forward to. It was also the day that many others had dreaded because of their viewpoint concerning this whole function. So the question is, here we are one day away. It's obvious that they're not going to get a peace agreement by tomorrow. So the next question is, well, is there going to be an agreement at all? This article came out over the weekend from the United States. The United States denies peace talks have failed. The United States denied on Friday that Secretary of State John Kerry's efforts to secure a peace treaty between Israel and the Palestinian Authority have failed. Rather, claimed State Department spokeswoman Jen Psaki, the talks are in a moment of transition, and Kerry's team is adopting a holding period as the sides decide their next move. So, what's really going on here? Well, fortunately, we do have a tremendous advantage. We have the advantage of Bible prophecy, and the Bible prophesies there is going to be an agreement. There's going to be an agreement. The Bible clearly prophesies that it's going to happen. And when that agreement is finally signed, it will trigger the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon. Of course, the next question is when. John Kerry was wrong concerning when, and we've talked about it here on this program. I've told you repeatedly, yes, the peace agreement is coming. Will it be April the 29th? I don't know that. That's what John Kerry says is going to happen, but that's not what the Bible says is going to happen. So that's where we have been for the last 9 months now, as of tomorrow. So what are we going to do? Where are we left with the situation? Well, there are two prevailing moods in Israel today. One of them is a mood of despair. We missed a wonderful opportunity. This is bad that we were not able to come to an agreement. Another mood is that of thankfulness, because those people believe that if an agreement would have been signed, it would have been the beginning of the end of the state of Israel. They believe that if an agreement was signed along the guidelines of what the discussions were, that it would mean Israel was only taking a shortcut to national suicide. So you've got people who are very happy that the talks failed. You've got people who are very angry that the talks failed. You've got people on the Israeli side that wanted to give the Palestinians everything they asked for. I mean, the Palestinians asked for every inch of the ground back that was captured by Israel in the 1967 war. It wasn't even captured from the Palestinians, by the way. It was captured from the Jordanian army, who had occupied it in 1948. They also wanted East Jerusalem as the capital of a newborn Palestinian state. The liberal Israelis said, give it to them. Give it all to them. Let's just have a peace agreement now, and let's depend on the United Nations to guard us and to preside over us and to protect us. Well, that is one extreme. And then there are others in Israel, all the way to the extreme that, look, we shouldn't give them 1 inch. They still have our land. The promised land is outlined in the Bible. We still don't control that land. We control much of it if we will go ahead and possess the land that we captured in the 1967 war. That was the war of redemption. That was straight from God. He was bringing us into our promised land like he promised that he would, and yet we have been so faithless and unbelieving that we have not been able to occupy the land. We have feared men more than God. We feared the nations of the world more than we feared God. So there are all of these extremes, and there are many shades of differences in between. There are many people that will be somewhere, you might call them the middle of the road. Well, let's negotiate. Let's do certain land swaps, and then we'll have to decide what to do about Jerusalem. So there's all kinds of debate going on. Now, the United States says, look, this doesn't have to be the end. We've got to pause for reappraisal. The truth is, both Israel and the Palestinians want a peace deal. But the Palestinians are determined to get what they want from that peace deal. They're determined to have a Palestinian state with Israel as its capital. Israel, on the other hand, has already annexed East Jerusalem into its capital of the whole city of Jerusalem, and she does not intend to allow it to be the capital of any state, not now, not ever. So there's all kinds of struggles going on. You've got the Temple Mount situation where only Muslims are allowed to pray right now, but the Jews are demonstrating mightily and are determined that they are going to be able to worship on the Temple Mount, their holiest site on earth as well. So all of this conflict closing in. Now, what's the most fearsome thing as far as Israel is concerned? Well, John Kerry, I suppose, said it best. He said, and let me find the article for you. Kerry warns if peace talks fail, Israel may become an apartheid state. This just came out today in today's Jerusalem Post. Now, what does he mean by that? Well, he means if there's a one-state solution and Israel continues to rule over a very large Palestinian minority, almost a majority, that Israel's going to be labeled an apartheid state, a state where one race or one nationality rules over the other. It will not be a democracy. It will be very much like South Africa was when Nelson Mandela was placed into prison. So this is what Mr. Kerry is saying, because he is claiming that, apparently he's saying that Israel should have compromised. Israel should have gone ahead and yielded to the demands of the Palestinians. So that's the view of John Kerry. That was overheard, by the way. He was in a behind closed doors meeting with the Trilateral Commission, an entity that was founded by Mr. David Rockefeller many years ago. It was called Trilateral because it was founded between three powers, the United States, Japan, and West Germany, because those were the three leading industrial powers on earth. So at this meeting, this Trilateral Commission, Kerry thought he was not being recorded. However, he was secretly recorded, and Kerry said that the failure of the peace talks could lead Israel into an apartheid position. He said it this way: a two-state solution will be clearly underscored as the only real alternative, because a unitary state winds up either being an apartheid state with second-class citizens, or it ends up being a state that destroys the capacity of Israel to be a Jewish state. So if Israel decides to be a democracy, since the Arab population is growing so rapidly, then that means that when they vote, they could vote in an Arab prime minister. So Israel would cease to be a Jewish state. If they decide to be a one-state people, a mixture of Arabs and Jews. On the other hand, if they go ahead and do the two-state solution, the nation of Israel can preserve its Jewish character, but it will have less territory, and it will have to yield some things to the Palestinians. So anyway, that's the back and forth that's going on today. But let's jump ahead. Let's go ahead and talk about what's going to happen. Is there going to be a peace deal? Absolutely. The Bible prophesies that the Antichrist will confirm the Abrahamic covenant with many for a 7-year period. He's going to say, yes, Israel has a right to exist. And yet, Jesus painted during this 7-year period Jews living under enemy control, Jews living under the control of Palestinians. Well, that's part of the deal. Israel is supposed to give the West Bank, normally referred to as Judea Samaria, over to the Palestinians. But there's 200,000 Jews living out there. So what do you do with them? Well, we can either pick them up forcibly and move them, but that would cause a civil war, or we can just simply say, all right, we have 1.6 million Arabs living as an Arab minority in the Jewish state. Why couldn't we have a couple 100,000 Jews living as a Jewish minority in the Palestinian state? Well, that's where they're going to settle. Some of the Jews are going to stay there. They're going to say, this is my home. This is our homeland. I'm not leaving. I'm trusting God. Well, that's what's going to happen according to the prophecy of the Bible. And what's going to happen to the Temple Mount? Well, the Temple Mount is going to be placed under a sharing arrangement. It's already been proposed. Mahmoud Abbas has talked about it. Benjamin Netanyahu has talked about it. So that is what is going to happen. It's going to be a sharing arrangement. Both Jew and Muslim will be allowed to worship on the Temple Mount. Many people are going to think it's a wonderful agreement, that disaster has in fact been averted. However, it's not going to turn out to be that way at all. It's going to end up being simply a delay of the inevitable. And that is, when people say something, that doesn't mean that they believe what they say. They're just saying what they want you to believe. However, there's much evidence that what is being said at the table right now is a cover for a much more deep-seated animosity, a determination to destroy the nation of Israel. Ultimately, the world community is going to come down against Israel. There's a tremendous surge of anti-Semitism right now around the world, very much against Israel. They have outlawed circumcision in several of the states in Europe. They also have begun to put economic sanctions against the nation of Israel. So already the anti-Semitism has begun. The Bible prophesies a time of great tribulation that will be coming soon. It actually will start 3.5 years after the peace agreement is signed. So that's where we find ourselves today. The United States says, oh, it's not over. We're just taking a pause to catch our breath. And that may well be true, because Israel's got to figure out, okay, where do we go from here? The Palestinians, now what they're thinking is, look, let's not play games with it. Abbas said, I'll just hand the keys to the United Nations. Well, if you hand the keys to the United Nations, and the UN negotiates with Israel, then where will the UN agree that the borders should be placed? They're certainly not going to give up the Temple Mount in East Jerusalem, because the United Nations sees that as its rightful place and ownership. So here we are, one day away from the day that we may have been saying, look, it's peace in the Middle East. Well, not yet. That day's coming, but it's not going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day that was set. It's not going to happen, but the Bible prophesies that day is coming. It's just not going to be April the 29th.